Ethan Ward had never thought of his family, ranch as anything more than stubborn. Land an inherited responsibility. But the storm that ripped across the desert changed everything. The ground split open overnight, tearing a gaping wound into the parched soil near the boundary fence. When the wind finally died, he went to inspect the damage, cursing under his breath about the repairs he'd now have to make. The sinkhole was deeper than he expected. The sand collapsed inward like something had been unearthed that didn't want to be uncovered. Half buried in the exposed rock was a dark, glass-like pendant carved in the shape of a wolf's head, etched with strange, jagged markings. When he touched it, warmth pulsed through his skin. It didn't feel like stone. It felt like it was breathing. Ethan shook off the unease and stuffed it into his pocket, convincing himself it was just some archaeological relic that could be worth something. That night, the desert changed. The wind didn't whisper, it moaned. The coyotes that normally howled across the plains went silent. Even the insects seemed to vanish. Ethan lay awake listening to the strange stillness pressing against the walls of his house, and for the first time since childhood, he was afraid of the dark. Morning brought no comfort. Dust hung in the air heavy and unmoving. Standing at his gate were 3 Apache elders dressed traditionally, their faces hard and unreadable, their eyes fixed not on him, but on the pocket where the relic lay. They told him it belonged to something sacred, something older than the land itself, a guardian bound in darkness long ago to protect the living world. Removing it broke the chain. Now something ancient was stirring. They demanded it back immediately, before sundown, before whatever it was fully woke. Ethan felt anger rise. This was his land. He didn't believe in legends, didn't believe in curses or spirits or anything that couldn't be explained. He told them no. He would think about it. Their expressions darkened, not in rage, but in resignation. As they turned away, one whispered a final warning. Night is not safe anymore. And when the sun fell, Ethan would understand exactly what they meant. Night did not fall gently over Ethan's land. It crashed down like a closing door. The silence that had unnerved him before now felt suffocating, as if the desert itself was holding its breath. His horses panicked first. They thrashed violently in their stalls, slamming against wooden beams until splinters flew. When he rushed outside, the air felt wrong, too cold for the desert, carrying a low vibration that buzzed in his bones. The sand around his house was marked with prints, not quite human and not quite animal, twisted impressions with too many toes, circling again and again like something searching. Every light in the house flickered, dimmed, then glowed unnaturally bright before snapping off entirely. In the dark, Ethan heard whispering voices, not outside but inside the walls, inside his head, speaking a language he didn't know yet somehow understood. You touched what should never wake. By morning, he was done pretending this wasn't real. Pride and stubbornness crumbled into fear as exhaustion trembled through him. He drove straight to the Apache reservation, gripping the obsidian relic like it might bite him. The elders were waiting, as if they knew he would come. Their faces carried no victory, only grief. They told him everything. Long ago, a warrior had opened a doorway between the living world and the realm of the silent ones, spirits that were never meant to walk beneath the sun. The pendant was forged not as treasure, but as a seal, a lock buried deep to ensure the shadows stayed bound in darkness forever. By removing it, Ethan had called them back. And worse, because he was the one who broke the seal, they had marked him. They were tied to him now, following his breath, his heartbeat, his fear. Then came the demand that chilled him more than anything else. He must return it himself. If anyone else tried, the spirits would refuse. They recognized him. They belonged to him now, and he to them. Ethan wanted to believe it was superstition. But when he looked past the elders, he saw something standing in the shimmering heat. A towering shadow figure with hollow eyes that did not blink even under daylight. It tilted its head slowly, like it was studying prey. Ethan swallowed, nodded, and agreed to go with them. He thought he understood fear before. He was wrong. The real terror had only begun. They began the journey before dusk, because the elders said the shadows grew strongest when the last light bled from the sky. Ethan followed them deep into the forbidden canyons where the land looked untouched by modern time. The rocks towered like ancient guardians, carved with symbols that pulsed faintly as they walked past. The air felt colder the deeper they went. The wind gone, the sky strangely muted, as if it, too, feared what lived here. They reached a hidden cavern split open by time, its interior glowing faint red from cracks in the stone. The elders formed a circle, chanting words older than the language Ethan knew, voices trembling with power and sorrow. The ground throbbed under his boots, the relic in his hand burning now, almost alive, as if it recognized the place it belonged. Then the world darkened, not like night, but like something swallowing the light. The Silent Ones appeared, tall figures of stretched shadow, bodies thin and unnatural, heads bowed yet watching with hollow eyes that bled faint firelight. They didn't move like living things. They drifted, their edges dissolving into smoke. When they circled Ethan, his chest seized with ice. Each breath hurt. The elders shouted for him to place the relic into the cracked stone altar at the cavern's heart, and with shaking hands he slammed it down. The reaction was instant. The canyon erupted with roaring wind, the ground splitting as the fissure yawned wide, dragging the shadows screaming toward it. Their shrieks weren't sound, they were pressure, terror pressing into his skull. He thought it was over when they began to burn away, but the fissure kept widening instead of sealing. The chanting faltered. Fear flickered in the elder's eyes. Something was wrong. The relic glowed brighter, and Ethan felt a pull in his chest like invisible hands gripping his heart. One elder whispered the truth they hadn't told him. The seal always required a guardian, a life to bind the darkness. Someone to stay. The shadows lunged not to devour him, but to claim him. He tried to step back, but his feet no longer obeyed. Panic exploded inside him as the world dimmed, the canyon dissolving into endless black. The last thing he heard was the elders crying out his name before stone thundered shut. The desert returned to silence. The seal held. But now, deep beneath the earth, a new guardian screamed with the shadows, and the land prayed it would never break again.